Hello everyone, welcome to today's live stream. I say Eddie, Linda, Sketcher S24, Lewis, Ike, all in the chat. Hello. It's been a while since we've done one of these multiple portrait sketch streams. I have been doing a 10-minute portrait every weekday on my YouTube, but we used to do one of these like every other weekend, I think, and we'd spend 2 hours just doing 10-minute portrait sketches. And today's is a super special one, as the past 2 months I've been super focused on the Expressive Ink Portraits course, which everyone can still join now. All modules have been released. They're all live, so you can work along with them at your own pace. And I'm just going to show you some of the sketches that I have done. If you're here watching on YouTube, I'd love you to let me know in the chat how you found the course, what you have enjoyed exploring and learning together. And I'm just going to show you from each of our muses this variety of techniques and approaches that we've been exploring over the past couple months. And yeah, there's just so many. I'm so excited about ink, and I think it's such a great way to learn to commit to mark making and really explore value so much, such a strong value focus in the way we've been working. And for me, it has just taught me so much about image making, composition, committing to mark making, and there's just so much to learn, and I've been really blessed to be able to share so much the past couple months and from now until the end of time. Because this course is now available, Expressive Ink Portraits. Everyone can join, and it will keep on going. So the first 7 weeks and the live sessions have now elapsed, but it's all there. Everything is available to sketch from, to draw from. And now we're going to do some more drawings of each of the amazing 9 muses that we've been working with throughout the course. So I'm really happy to be able to sketch with you all. I think I'll maybe start with Sabra. Yeah, let's do it. We're going to do 9 10-minute portraits. See if we can stick to 10. And I've got some people from the course who are in the Zoom room hanging out. You're welcome to speak to me in a moment. And any questions that come up on YouTube, feel free to chat in the chat. I always love hearing from you, reading from you. Hi, Ronnie and Lisa. And yeah, we're just going to spend some time now sketching. And oh yeah, I thought I'd let you know if any of you are interested in animal portraits. Animals is my theme of the month, and I've just started doing some animal portraits in my daily practice, and still in Switzerland at the moment, as I'll be heading to Switzerland at the end of July. And you can tune into my daily streams for some animal sketching together. And this is also a super fun way to just learn about how we render different surfaces. That's something that I have found super helpful with animal portraiture. It's just learning how to handle like hard, soft, smooth, wet, furry, slimy, like all these different kind of textures and surface qualities, how we can like work with that with a brief sketch. So that's something that's happening during my weekday sketching. And now let's draw a bit, shall we? Yeah, and if you have any questions or just anything to say, you don't even need questions, just chat in the chat. You could let me know what the last drawing you did was. And if you have a YouTube channel and you're in the YouTube chat, then you could put that, the name of your channel in the chat so everyone can check it out. Because I know some of us have YouTube channels, and it would be great to connect, support each other, and check out everyone's amazing work. All right, so timer. Yeah, I'll do 5 minutes plus 5 minutes each time. That's kind of my habit with the 10-minute portrait sketches, so I can keep track of myself, just get moving, and then I'm like, oh, I'm halfway, and then I can alert myself to having to make certain decisions or commit to things. So that's how we do it. And I just see over in Zoom that Gabriela said that the course was challenging and out of my comfort zone, but I learned a lot. Like every time I attend a workshop with Dylan. Oh, that's great to hear, Gabriela. Getting out of the comfort zone is good. And yeah, just embracing those challenges. It can be tricky, and it's a long path, but it's totally worth it. And I'm glad to be exploring it together with all of you. All right, let's sketch now. And if you feel like chatting and you're in Zoom, feel free to speak up. This is Sabra, dear friend of mine and ours. And yeah, I'm super grateful to everyone who we have been able to draw in the course, all these wonderful, creative, incredible people. It's been such a blessing to be able to work from so many wonderful reference images. And that's always a really special part of drawing someone. It's just the opportunity to connect. And it's an interesting way of sharing time with someone and focus, although they, in this case, are not present with us in the room. But there's something very, very special about portraiture and that opportunity to connect through drawing. So thank you to all of our wonderful muses. Um, I was thinking for this live stream, like in the course, there were 7 modules and 7 different ways of working, starting with fine liner. So fine liner foundations was about reduced line work. And I'm not sure I'm really going to stick to that in this stream, but maybe, because it was really interesting for me. I felt like it was um, a great way to build up the course by focusing on first this reduced, controlled, minimal kind of line drawing, and then building upon that with additional tools, pens, brushes, and expanding out from that, because it really became a process of simplification and learning what to leave out, what really has to be drawn, and then choosing what to focus on. And just also for my own practice, it's what I've chosen to focus on throughout my daily drawing practice here on my YouTube channel. I have chosen the method of those modules throughout the past weeks, and it's been really cool for me to focus on that one particular way of working, one way of looking at things and perceiving and seeing what I can do within that kind of range of practice. Has been really cool. What's everyone been up to today? I went to Tierpark Saberburg with my 12-year-old, which is a kind of amazing animal enclosure, which is in an quite a large walled garden, which is at the foot of a hill which has a castle on it, which is actually like Sleeping Beauty's castle, which is a pretty amazing place. And they have a lot of the original inhabitants of this part of the world, Wiesente, wild horses, deer, various birds of prey, and it's it was a you walk a lot when you're there. It's quite a big space, and it was really nice to be there. They have these incredible old oak trees, which is something which has impressed me for a long time. Really majestic, giant trees, and it was nice to have that one-on-one time with Icon today. Another part of the course, and I have this alongside here, was the idea we explored so many different things and explored composition as well. And the idea of taking bits and pieces of all of these different methods and piecing them together in a cohesive body of work, and how to go about coming up with a focus and a theme for creating a series of portraits which feel like they belong together. So I feel like that was also a really nice addition beyond the practice, that idea of how do we take all of this stuff that we've been practicing and apply it to something that something more than sketch practice, whether it be for an exhibition, a portfolio, website. That was the first 5 minutes, by the way. Moving on to the second. And Maya's just stepping into Zoom. Where am I? Hi, Maya. And then Maya will be joining my workshop in Switzerland on the 25th and 26th of July this month. It's already July. And I have a workshop on the 19th of July in Göttingen as well. So anyone who's able to join, I'd love to have you there. I'm just wondering now, there's so much darkness expanding beyond here. I would really love to just brush it in, but I'm wondering if I just restrain myself to focusing on a particular area rather than trying to capture everything. That was one, the image I showed of Ellie, where it was really like this deep, dark shadow around the eyes, nose, and mouth, and the rest was just really light and implied. That was really interesting to see, and that's something I've thought to myself amongst all of the practice, like, oh, it would be nice to do a few more like that if I could make that a focus, a way of working for a while. That was one that I just showed here. And if you've been in the course, whether you're in Zoom or on YouTube, so this is the one I'm talking about, just this reduced focus here. That one excites me a lot. Yeah, if you've been in the course and there's been a particular week or some insight that you've had, or a way of working which was new to you, which you feel like you'd really like to explore a lot more, I'd love to hear what it is. What has really felt like it's worked for you and has helped you gain some new method of working or an interesting way of understanding how to bring your portraits to paper. And I know, hi Martina. Lewis says, by the way, did you know that before using a dip pen, you had to hold a lighter at the tip for a few seconds to temper it and help the ink flow better? I did not know that. You have to let it cool down first, though. Interesting. Is that like every time you use it or the very first time? Interesting. That's often like a question and an issue when using a pen for the first time. Is like, oh, is the ink flowing properly? Why doesn't this feel like I want it to? And interesting to think that there's a way of kind of priming the pen for use. All right, maybe I will. I've got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to brush some ink around this. Anyone in YouTube who wants to join in Zoom, feel free as well. Those of you who are in Expressive Ink Portraits, because I know there's a couple of you there. And that's another opportunity just to hang out, which I always enjoy. I also really enjoy just being here and sketching. Like after spending the day outside all day, walking around, I just felt like having a nap when I got home. And now that we're making something together, I'm here for it. An hour ago I was like, I think I just need to sleep. But now, having a great time with this reference. The first time and every time to use each. All right, that is very interesting. I will try that next time I use a dip pen. I did use dip pens a lot before getting into like the parallel pen, because I was at this closing down sale of this little art supplies store, and I got this whole box of different nibs for next to nothing. And I was like, what am I going to do with all these nibs? And I did experiment with them for a long time. I think that was our 10 minutes with Sabra. And yeah, so I used them a lot, and I did a lot of different dip pen stuff, but I didn't know that that could help holding it in a fire before working with it. That's very interesting. So here's my first 10-minute sketch for today's session. Always feel like I need to sleep. Me too. Sometimes wake up and like, I could just go back to sleep, but there's always things to do. So iron levels, that's maybe, yeah, a good thing to check on. All right, who do we have next? So thank you, Sabra. Thai. Wonderful reference of Thai. And yeah, all of the Instagram account names of these wonderful people, Thai Matiba Fierce, are here. So you can follow, tag, say thank you, and send some love to these wonderful people that we are drawing and have been drawing. Hello, Rev222. Welcome. So, which pen? Maybe I'll just kind of keep that going. Start with this one again until I feel like doing something else. What's everyone else working with today? All right, I'll sketch and also read. Enjoyed using the brush pens that I had not even heard of before the class, and the challenge of learning to use them. I've really been learning so much from the course. That's great to hear, Lisa. And Linda says, I too have a dip pen with a bunch of different nibs. I have only used one nib out of the bunch so far. Oh, Ty's references are so cool. Yeah, so many amazing references. I'm glad you've enjoyed them, Martina. How late are you? 20 minutes late, that's okay. I just, all of you, I appreciate you being here whenever you're here. However you show up, however late, it's just nice to know you're here. And if you're watching the replay of this, it's okay that you're not here for the live session. Thank you for watching the replay. Yeah, and something for my course participants, I'm going to go back through. I know in the beginning I was like, here's your homework for the first week, here's your next homework. I'm going to make some more homework. And so if you have managed to make it through the course, that is amazing, well done. I'm going to add some more homework modules, which is basically just suggested practice. And because just keeping going, keeping on practicing is just such a, it's the course is like the invitation to just do more and more and more, and taking all of that and applying it to your own practice, and whether it's reference that I share or reference that you have, or perhaps you come up with some personal passion projects that you would love to work on. Just keeping going and applying the things that we've learned. Sometimes I feel like for me, sometimes it takes a long time for things that I've learned to really kind of settle in to my understanding and to really feel like I have access to these new things that I learn. And so for anyone who has that same kind of sense as me, yeah, just know that that's just keep practicing, and maybe there'll be things that kind of, as you're working on one particular piece, or you have a reference, you're like, oh, this feels like it would be really good for the brush pen, or the oh, this combination here. This is a waterproof, a permanent felt tip pen. They're refillable, by the way, and like the combination of these with like an ink wash is super nice. And so I already see here that I'm thinking, oh, maybe then with like adding a subtle wash to the portrait here, like that could be nice. And there'll be things that we've practiced throughout the the course together, that as you continue practicing and drawing, exploring, that you can try like reapplying those techniques. And I know every week has been a different focus and a different way of looking at things. And it may be enough for a while. Like I remember when I first discovered the calligraphy pen for drawing with, I was like, that was all I did for months. So really just choosing something to focus on and keeping that going, then you can really reach new levels and layers of experience with that one particular approach. Krista says, nice, nice. I actually have something I need to draw, but I'm afraid I don't have time today either. What do you need to draw? It sounds like an important need, an important drawing, a drawing of significance, something that needs to be drawn. And Linda says, sorry, my fingers aren't typing well today yet. Love the hair. Used to wear my hair like that back in the day. It's raining, which is great. Happy birthday, Krista. Do you need to draw yourself a birthday present? Happy birthday to everyone else who's had a birthday. All right, that was the first 5 minutes, by the way. So maybe, oh, this could be interesting. As Lisa just mentioned, the brush pen. Perhaps that could be a nice way to fill in the hair and then take some of that ink and kind of make a wash through the skin tones. It's also been really cool throughout the course, people suggesting their favorite pens and stuff. Like, it's really interesting. So the Pento one, which is like this, but which is not the water brush filled with ink. That's something that I've been tempted to get. But this works pretty well. But could be interesting. Because sometimes I feel like this one, I sometimes fear it's leaking. And I know when I've filled it, because I just filled this water brush completely with ink, that it was all coming out the side. I had ink all over my hands and stuff. So that one, which is essentially the same brush pen, but housed within a pen body, that seems really interesting. And I think I've seen you working with one, Ike. Is that a Pentel brush pen, which is like a pen? Looks very nice. Happy birthday, July babies. To all the babies born in July. I saw baby bunnies today. Not ours, thankfully, but they're very sweet. And it made me think maybe we need a bigger enclosure and then we can have much more bunnies. But I also think 5 bunnies is enough. But when you see them, they're so cute and little and just, I don't know, but 5 is enough. The big ones are also cute in their way. They're just a lot more independent than they used to be. But they're good. How are my friends in Zoom doing? feel free to speak up if you feel so inclined. This is a bit different to the past 7 weeks of live sessions because we're just practicing rather than addressing a specific theme. But if you do have any particular questions you would like to address, please feel free to speak up and have those questions addressed. Also in the YouTube chat, ask any questions you have. Okay, cool. Yes, Ike says, I use the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. And Krista says, baby bunnies. It works better than the Pentel Fude brush pen. Okay, interesting, interesting. Thank you for that distinction between those two, because I think I was looking at the Fude brush pen. And Linda just saw my bunnies on Discord recently. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's our animal month. We surely have to draw my bunnies this month during the live streams. Yeah, and it was so funny. These little bunnies, they're like this, smaller than the size of my fist, and they're getting around in their enclosure, and how they already have such different personalities. It's like so interesting to see. There are these like really inquisitive, like just dashing around like chipmunks, super busy bunnies, and there are these chilling on their own bunnies, and there's chilling in a puddle together bunnies, and just seeing their distinct different ways of being. It's really interesting. Something that I've found really interesting with our bunnies is seeing that, oh wow, they're all totally different people. They all have their very distinct ways. All right, ooh, that was 10 minutes. So this is, all right, feels quite reduced, minimal, restrained approach, which is great. Sometimes that's just right. Oh, here, Lena, there's a lot going on here. Maybe this will be a lot less reduced and restrained. Look at all those flowers and hair. I have a little drink. Oh, Linda, you posted some pictures of Gretchen. Great. Yeah, there is a reference sharing channel in the Discord server. That is the place. A lot of people have shared to the daily reference channel, which is fine, but putting them in the reference sharing channel would be really, really good. And the daily reference stays focused on what we're doing in the streams and stuff together. Krista says, when I was a kid, we had a bunch of bunnies in a big enclosure outside. My mum would just lock me out there while she did what she needed at home. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Maybe that's that sounds wonderful. All right, next sketch, Lena. Okay, 5 plus 5 minutes. And it's been so great. All of these people that we've been drawing, and many of them I have had conversations with either online or in person, and yeah, I just appreciate all these people so much. It's really so cool having had chats and connecting to these people, even if it's just been digital chats. For a long time, I have really appreciate that element of portraiture, that it's an opportunity to connect to someone, and it's super fun drawing friends. And it's been, wow, it's 10 years now. The first online art community, well, I guess that way back before I even came to Europe, there was what was it called? Elfwood was like this fantasy art page, very amateur stuff there before I really took drawing seriously. And it was kind of like deviant art of fantasy fan art. And then there was DeviantArt, and for a long time there's been all of these online forums, incredible places where people share. But when I 2016 discovered the Sketchy app, and which is now called Museum by Sketchy, it added a really different element to it because it was people sharing photos of themselves for other people to draw, and the sense of community there was really so cool. Because rather than just finding some, I don't know, random reference, whether it be from life or just some cool picture. I remember doing sketches from TV shows and magazines and stuff back in the day, but actually finding people and having the opportunity to have a conversation and connect. And it's so interesting now that I realize 10 years ago I started using the Sketchy app, and that so much has happened since then. And so many of those people that I have like friendships with, which I think is such a cool thing. All right, look at all this busyness here. Oh, what are we going to do with that? How do you draw a bunch of dried flowers in such a brief space of time? And they look so wonderful. You could spend a whole hour just drawing these flowers. Yeah, so Museum by Sketchy, the KNU community, which around lockdown 2020 is when I first connected to Lena and a lot of other people from Sketchy. And Sabra through the Karabulak Art School. Ty from Instagram. All of you here. I very much appreciate all of the interconnected online artiness. I'm thinking about, I've spoken about it here before, but thinking about doing something more regularly in person close to where I live, because that was how it started back in the day, hosting live drawing sessions at home before we had kids. Just because I needed to. That was, I remember the critique from my mentor at the time. She was like, you could benefit from studying anatomy, do life drawing. And then there were no life drawing sessions around where I lived. And so a friend of mine was like, maybe you have to start hosting them. And so I did, and it was great. I haven't done life drawing, figure drawing for quite a while though. I'm happy with portraits, but it was such a beneficial practice. Who here is going to in-person art classes or life drawing sessions and stuff? All right, was that 5 minutes? 5 minutes again? I think that was 5 minutes, even though we're almost. Oh no, that makes sense. 40 minutes in. How many portraits have we done? 3. 40 minutes to do 3 10-minute portraits. That could add up. I know some of Lena's paintings and drawings that she incorporates dried flowers into it as well. So I love seeing these references where she's with the flowers. Very cool. And there was another one that we sketched during the live session for Fine Liner Foundations with all of these flowers. Actually, at least 3 references with a lot of flowers in Lena. They've been very, very cool. to work from. Yeah, so an interesting, now that there's a lot of information here, often an interesting stage during the sketch is like, okay, now there's a lot going on. How do I create some kind of focus? Where do I want the focus to be? What feels important? What haven't I drawn enough? So first that question of, okay, what's the minimum that we can draw? What can we leave out? And then once we've got things in place, we're like, oh, actually, what does it need now? How do I bring some definition and clarity to what's going on? And just noticing, oh, the eyes were fairly undrawn still, and that definitely brings some focus here. And I'm thinking about adding a bit of a wash to this as well. Oh, Martina, the sounds of birds in the background. I know. They're they're amazing. It's so great living with birds. It was really interesting when it was so hot. Um, like all the windows open at night and then waking up with the dawn chorus and also noticing when the birds go to sleep at night and just yeah, there are definitely a lot of birds around, and I think it's really interesting living with a bird awareness. I don't know what the birds are, but I know they're there and I know they're birds, and it's really nice to have them around. We actually went to this animal park today because they have budgies, Wellensittiche, uh, which you can go into the enclosure and feed them millet, and they'll come and sit on your hand and eat from your hand. And when I was asking it was like, okay, we could do anything. We've got the day, just you and me. I had this whole list of things we could do, and it's like, I want to go feed the birds. So that was a great thing to do. It's so nice witnessing him loving animals. Yeah, yeah, he's 12. Yeah, and he's almost as big as me, and I'm like, I'm 6 foot, I think. So he's like, uh, he's a child in a man's body. um, yeah, and he's often like now as things are changing, you know, he's really cool, and often he's not as communicative as he used to be. But then to see him really being with the animals is it's really really nice. And I took him to London in January this year, and we fed amongst all of the amazing things we did there. We fed squirrels in the park, and afterwards I asked him what was the coolest thing in London, and he's like feeding the squirrels, and that was so nice. Yeah, and it's interesting witnessing him develop and grow and having that wonderful soft spot and connection to the animals. Really nice. That was 10 minutes. Oh yeah, so much. Yeah, I was just like, we could just draw all the animals I saw today. um, yeah, when we went to this, like at the falconry, they have these birds of prey which were all born into captivity, and it was interesting. In part of the presentation, he was saying like all of these birds, there is like an ecosystem of animal parks and enclosures where they breed and exchange birds, and none of them come from the wild. So but they need time to fly. They need to be trained, and they need to give them everything big birds need. And it was so interesting to watch them. And there was a bald eagle, And it just, after a while, it just took off, and it was like flying, and then the crows were added, and it was so amazing to just witness that and watch. Um, and then we went to the falconry and we saw all these birds just like perched and watching us, and that was pretty amazing. But yeah, saw so many animals that I thought it would be cool to draw. Took a few photos. All right, here's Phoebe. This is really cool. This like I have a hair dryer here just for this reference, because I'm thinking of this big block of grey and then drawing on top of that. I think is really, really cool. So that's what I have in mind. Let's get the timer going. Too hot for the birds today, where Linda is. Which brush? How inky are my brushes? Oh, very. So I've had a few pieces where I've just started with a lot of ink, just starting with a big wash of ink, and it's such a cool substrate to have to start drawing on. So I thought that would be really cool with this one as well. Yeah, and this has been quite a few pieces recently where I've just started just with the brush, which is not what I'm most comfortable doing, but I feel like it's exciting, and I think I can really learn and lean into it quite a bit. Because basically it's also like the calligraphy pen. It's just getting a big mark, a big shape, and a different way of looking at the shapes, rather than thinking of it in terms of lines, thinking of it as edges and how to control the edge quality. And yeah, I've had some where I've gone in with brush first, where I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. So I think this is something I'll be exploring a lot more. Even though it feels initially like, for the longest time, I was just so reliant on lines, getting the lines down. Once I've got some lines, maybe I can do some other stuff, but I need those lines just to figure out, to be able to see, I need lines. Um, and it's interesting to mix that up, change that a bit, become less line reliant, but still loving lines. And it's interesting, yeah, just seeing here, looking at the edge of the image there, how to navigate, putting that down. Linda says, when I visit the Grand Canyon here in Arizona, the squirrels and deer in certain areas would come up to you and you could feed them from your hand, which is such a cool experience, even as an adult. Yeah, that sounds amazing. So cool. Martina, oh yes, for sure. That's why sometimes there are do not feed signs, because of those squirrels. They can get aggressive. I remember they tried nibbling on my gnome, buddy. Oh dear. The squirrels nibbling the gnome. Yeah, it's interesting. Even in this animal enclosure, they have these Kontaktbereiche, the contact areas where you can come into contact with the animals. And I've been in there with little kids, and when you go into the goats and everyone's got food, and sometimes those goats are really, you know, they they don't have a sense of other people's boundaries. And sometimes I've been like, whoa, with all these kids around, it can get pretty intense. But they all get fed enough, but still that won't stop them from climbing on people, um, and they got, yeah, it's always good to be a bit cautious as well in these close encounters with animals. Okay, time for the hairdryer. See the paper's warping. We're almost at the 5 minute mark. I'm gonna. I'll have a look in a moment. But yeah, but this was like 4 minutes. So after this, you could try it again, start again, because it's a really interesting way to practice and look. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. So yes, this is Hanamula Nostalgie paper, not the best paper for getting really wet. Um, but yeah, Monica. Oh, someone's trying to get in. Martina. um, Monica, you said you're having a bit of a challenge with this approach. Yeah, but yeah, the great thing about these, yeah. So in Zoom, the observation graph at the moment was just that looking at mine, we can already see Phoebe, but looking at yours, that it doesn't look the same. And the same way we look at line, like here, this was the most important part, I think, like around the eye. And I recognize in the reference, like all these different lines, and I was just trying to capture them already a bit with this light wash. And yeah, it's this brief sketching drawing practice, all the line drawing we've done. It's like trying to see that in the same way, because apart from this blob of value, it's just about this. And and that part was done in a couple minutes maybe. So I feel like doing that kind of thing, practicing again with a time limit. Um, yeah, that's what these quick sketches are about. It's like getting in that brief practice. So I hear you, Monica. It can be challenging, but yeah. And sometimes in those moments where you are looking at your drawing, thinking, ah, oh, why doesn't it look like that person? If you're able to take a moment and try and figure out what it is that's not quite right, and it may be the distance between things. Like here, I think this is really interesting. The different values around here, how to perceive the lines, which I'm now drawing on top of that looseness. Like, how do we see those lines without just drawing the lines? And I feel like the detail in this area is a really decisive part of what's going to make this portrait look like the reference. Do can you see what's not working in yours? Can you is there something? Sometimes it's like, oh, I've done that, and that makes the whole thing look a bit uh, inaccurate, let's say. And having that here, the clear separation just between what's in shadow, what's the light. Um, that's something for this image and the way I was just filling in that shape, which I think is really what it's all about. Just those two clear values. But if this was not in this timed context and drawing along with me, if you're 3 minutes into it and you're like, oh no, that does not look right, then the great thing about these quick sketches is like, okay, you're 3 minutes in and you already feel that way. Start again. And if you can determine what the thing is that isn't working, to try and avoid that next time. And I know sometimes we can't figure out what is the thing that doesn't feel right. But sometimes just starting again and trying to like have another go that can help. And then perhaps after that, okay, why do I like this one more than this one? And then when you can learn to figure out what's working well and what isn't, and try and see what to avoid in future. This is interesting. I'm trying to figure out, okay, where were these light shapes? How do I put in the rest? Why did I choose to leave certain areas light and then refit the line work to fit the way I've brushed in these shapes. Oh, interesting things happening in the chat. Hi, Charlotte. Thank you for popping in to say hi. Lisa says, this technique of starting with light wash was just one of the helpful things I've learned from your course. It made drawing with the ink a bit less scary. Yeah. And then Martina says, right, I agree with Lisa. It's so much easier to go from light to dark. Just the waiting time for the ink to dry takes time. Yes, that's such a big thing. Like getting used to or allowing time for drying time is like a new consideration when working like this. But yeah, that is a big thing. Like just going in with the full intensity of the ink, it can be so intense. And if we can start with a much lighter tone, then it can be much more forgiving. And even here, if there were things that didn't really work out right in that initial light gray, and if I catch them, there's still some kind of opportunity to adjust, because anything I put on top of this is going to be much darker and much bolder and will grab our attention in a way that super light wash really just can't. So just having that light brushwork down as the substrate for whatever comes next is a really different, interesting and different way to work with ink compared to brushing in really dark ink, which is also a great challenge and a great way to work and learn. Okay, 10 minutes is up. And this is really interesting, like so much left out of this, but it's what's here is really working. And that's an interesting kind of dance between, like sometimes it's really fun, just have a lot of lines down, trying to figure out if I put this here, put this there, what's going to happen if I put a bit over here. But just really practicing, cultivating that kind of restraint as we get started, that can open up really interesting new opportunities. Linda's enjoying the process. So good. Cool. Glad to hear it. Okay, who's next? Luke. What? I've just from the past 2 months alone, I have so many drawings, like just stacking up all these sketches from the course, from all the live streams. There's a lot going on my desk. Oh, this is so cool. This would be so cool in color. I'm just using ink, so that makes it easier. But the red in the forehead and that little bit of red reflection in the glasses, a little bit of red under the shadow of the rims of the glasses, a little bit of red on the neck. Oh, so cool. This isn't a circus tent, and this looks amazing. Let's sketch. All right, 5 plus 5 minutes. How did you go, Monica? How's everyone going? Do you already have like one sketch so far where you feel like that one worked or that one was so hard? It's also really interesting what references, like I noticed, particularly when I started drawing with the calligraphy pen, that I would be like, oh, this is a calligraphy pen drawing, and I would look for references that had really strong contrast and stuff. And Yeah, I know there are certain, sometimes when I see and when I've participated in courses and stuff, some of the references I'm like, oh, I would never have chosen that. So there is definitely a certain kind of, we develop a taste for certain kind of references or things that we feel like we can work well with. And that's also, yeah, really interesting. And I try to have a variety of references in the ones I pick, but I definitely know that I probably have my a strong sense of what I like and what I feel like can work well from. And just being aware of that sometimes as well. It's like, oh, okay, I can't see what to draw in some references, and in some there's just like so much, and it's just like a gift waiting to be drawn. Yeah, and I'd be really curious what kind of preferences people have when it comes to the images they choose to work from as well. Oh, this is something I've been thinking about a lot, and I haven't told anyone yet. But I'm going to make a zine of the course images that I've made. I think it would be a really nice. Like, there's a lot of interesting pieces that were made, and I think it could be a really cool companion to the course, and also just in the past I've had a couple of course zines which I've made, and just in general, I want to get back to making zines. It's such a cool way to self-publish and do interesting compositional design things, and I recently got some new zine dummies to experiment with different layouts, so that'll be something in the near future. Linda says, I started a zine from another course of mine. Cool. Just didn't finish. Eek. Story of my journey. Was that the watercolor portraits zine? I seem to recall you were also present in that one. I have a vision for another watercolor course. Because since I made that one, I've also been experimenting and learning. And I really, really liked that one. And I feel like in the process of making that course, at that time, I made some of my favorite work for it. And even to now, there are pieces in there which I really um, have a relationship to. And yeah, I think especially it's also been part of my flow and progression is that I wanted to work with watercolor, and I was like, this is so hard. I don't understand anything. I can't do this. And then reducing it to ink helped me so much before having to make decisions about color and stuff, just to figure out values. That was the first 5 minutes. And yeah, really focusing on value, which is what ink is like. That's what it's about. Learning to perceive an image, no matter how vibrant and amazing and complex it is, to really simplify it into understandable values is like the big lesson uh, that I'm sharing with the ink course, because that was, for me, it just that was such an important understanding to develop, understanding values. And then I feel like after my deep and intense phase of just focusing on ink, that when I returned to pencil and watercolor, that I had this whole new way of seeing things, which really helped my pencil, my watercolor work. And so that's been my vision with this course, Expressive Ink Portraits, to share that because it was like so helpful to me, and then to follow on with watercolor because that was like my progression as well. And once you're starting to get a bit of a grasp on this idea of understanding value, and you simplify your colors. So that was also the big off-putting thing for me, was like I would try to paint things the way I see them, and then the colors would be off, and I'm like, oh, why can't I do this? And really, they're making the switch to be like, okay, I'm going to just try and focus on representing values the way I see them, and then the color is just kind of like on the periphery. If you choose colors that work value-wise, then the values in the piece will work, and it will look cool, even if the colors are not exactly what's in the image. And that was a really big thing for me. To think, okay, I don't have to try and really paint things the way I see them color-wise. If I can paint them value-wise the way I see them, then I'm already doing pretty good. But a reference like this, which just has two colors or a monochrome image to work from, is so great. Because that can really help simplify those choices. And a lot of the way that I teach and things that have been helpful to me is really about simplification. How do we simplify those really complex things? To help in our decision-making progress. Lisa says, watercolor course, yes please. Linda, I always start a course with such gusto and plan to finish and then get distracted by other art to get done. I know what you mean. There's so much to learn. That's also something I wonder about. I would love, like, because I know I see the people who make it through the course and they've learned so much, and I love seeing it. And I know that a lot of people, and I know for myself, I know what it's like to have life happen, and there's just always so much to do and stuff. And I wonder, like, I wonder if there's some way to create and structure a course in a way which makes it really keeps the motivation and the incentive high, because I am so familiar with that starting energy of like, all right, going to do this, I'm doing this thing, I'm learning, it's great. And then it's like, oh, why haven't I done any lessons for a month? And I wonder if there's some way obviously it's a personal thing of the people doing, you and me, Linda, like having things on. But I wonder if there must be some. I know that the art of course making and teaching, like there's this, it's a whole thing to itself. And that's just something I've been wondering about, how to structure things and put it together in such a way that it really is really inviting, drawing people on through the process. That's something I would like to be able to understand and apply. Yeah, because I see so many people who do it when people make it through a course and they're like, wow, I learned all this stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, it'd be so cool for everyone to get that out of it. But I know what it's like. That was 10 minutes. That was cool. I like this one of Luke. Thank you very much, Luke. What's this shape? Any last minute kind of things to do here? What? Nothing is really super bright. So maybe. That's it for now. I feel like there'll be some tight stuff, some fine tuning to do in here to take there. I feel like there's so much energy to this, and really to bring it together a bit. I feel like there could be a bit more, that maybe some more time and some more focus. Whoa, for this one, but that was fun. All right, who's next? Gudev. Right. How is everyone? What have we got? We've got 4 left. So I'll just show you already. Ellie, Adam, and Yikan. All right. 4 portraits left. Have a drink. 4 portraits left. So we've done 5. So it's been 70 minutes for 5 10-minute portraits. That's pretty good, right? That's a cool idea, Linda. I think I need art buddies to do a course so we can get through it together and check in with each other. I think it's the way to go. Like a book club, right? An art course club to do stuff together. That's such a good idea. How's everyone doing? Let me just have a look. Over on YouTube, 36 people are here. Hello, everyone. Who hasn't said hello in the chat yet? That's amazing. Thank you all for being here. Say hello so I know who you are, even if you've never been here before. It's nice to have you here. And I have some friends, some smiling faces, some sweat and stress over in Zoom. It's nice to have you all here. Any questions that you have, feel free to ask at any stage. Thank you for being here. Oh, this could be a little intermission. Thank you so much to the people who've given me, I have like donation-based commissions at the moment for Procreate portraits. And I think, wait a minute, I've got some, yeah, I can show you these because I've had to replace my iPad and I did these drawings years ago and I like them a lot. I really like this way of working, very different to ink and paper, and it's very shape focused and a lot of color, and yeah, it's just a way of working that I really enjoy. And I put up a reel on Instagram saying that if people send me some money, I can do a Procreate portrait for you. And a few people have, and I'm very excited about it. And if that is something that could be of interest to you, let me know. Very different to ink, but also a thing that I love and enjoy. Aha, hello. Katamv, hello. Brah, hello. Thank you for saying hello. You hadn't said hello yet. Nico der Art, hello. Veronica, it's the first time attending and I really love this. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I love challenging myself with quick sketches and this is a great chance. I love your approach. Thank you so much for being here. I do a lot of this and there are a lot of replays on my channel where you can watch the live sessions and sketch along, and 10-minute portraits has been a thing I've been doing a lot of for, I don't know, maybe the past 4 years. So thank you so much for being here. I'm glad you found your way to my YouTube channel. And let's continue, shall we, with another sketch. And thank you to the 4 of you for speaking up from the crowd. And also the silent observers. I'm really happy to have you here as well. Thank you for being here. And while, yeah, I'll just take this moment to let you know, I have a Discord server. I actually haven't put these references up there yet, but I share weekday daily references to my Discord server. Why can't I see the link? And you're welcome to join it, get the references, share your work there. Discord does this weird thing to me sometimes where it doesn't let me grab the link. It should be in the description and it should still be working. But if you're really keen, you can also write to me and say, oh, I'd love to get on the Discord server. But you should be, hopefully you can just get in. Wait, I've almost got it. I found it. Yeah, so I'll put this in the chat and you can share your work. There are lots of different channels, but there is a daily reference channel. And there's also an events channel, different places where you can share your work. And I do it so this is like 9 10-minute portraits in 2 hours, but I do 1 10-minute portrait every weekday during a stream, and I share the reference there. Especially this is in ink. Yes, ink. Ink is such a good challenge, such a good way to learn. All right, let us continue. That was our little intermission. Let's move on with the next 4 portraits. Gurdev, so many great references. Let's do it. Let's sketch Gurdev. Yeah, and if anyone has any questions about why I do this, why I make certain choices, feel free to ask. Yeah, the 10-minute portrait thing is something which I think I actually started. So I've been hosting Zoom sessions every Tuesday for 6 years. And a couple of years ago, I had a job where I was going to be doing in person a whole bunch of 10-minute portraits. And I was like, oh, I need to practice. And so then I started doing streams where we would do 10-minute portraits, 10-minute portraits, 10-minute portraits, and found like amazing references, mugshots, and jazz musicians. And we've had all these different themes over the years. And I just found the 10-minute portrait to be like a really satisfying time frame. Really great for like simplifying things and helping to just do a whole lot of sketches. So back in the day, I would sit down and I need at least 4 hours to do any art. And then I would spend those 4 hours and not be finished with anything. And really putting on a timer has really totally changed the way I just get to it. And I'm able to commit to sketching, to start drawing. And I feel like whatever the media, it's really good practice just to see a lot of faces and to practice. There are so many, it's so complex. There are so many things that we're going through practicing at the same time, like proportions, distance, value, maybe color, and each time it's so good just to practice those things, put in the practice, have some amazing person to draw, and to be drawing together is a really nice way to do it. Something that I really enjoy. Memos one, peace and blessings to everyone on Zoom, Discord, YouTube, welcome, and don't stress, enjoy the process. Yes, thank you, Memo. That's a wonderful vibe. And Krista says, and some of us here are doing anything but drawing. I've been planting flowers and clearing weeds from the terrace. Now it's pancake making time. Appetite is very low at the moment. All right. Excellent. Yes, thank you. However you're here, I very much appreciate, Krista, that you're here and not drawing. That's great too. And for those of you who are drawing, that's great too. And I'd love to see your work. I don't know if you're on Instagram, but I am. And you can tag me in stories or posts that you may share. And on each of the references is the Instagram account of the muse that we've been drawing. And yeah, and in terms of like looking for brief portrait practice, I recently looked, I think I have about 500 live stream replays up on my YouTube. That's a whole lot of portrait sketching practice. And it's been really interesting for me to then look back. Sometimes I look through my sketchbook, so I kind of scroll back and see my past YouTube videos. I'm like, oh yeah, that. I remember that person. I remember that historical event. Oh, I remember that. And it's just such an interesting way to have kind of marked the passage of time with a development in portrait drawing practice. It's cool. Thank you, Krista. I enjoy having you here. Yeah, like whether it's ink or pastels, like oil painting, as sometime in my future, there's going to be another oil painting phase. I'm sure of it. And if I can bring some of this quick sketch energy to the practice, I think will be really interesting. Because back in the day when I thought I need at least 4 hours if I'm going to do anything, that was whether it was graphite or an oil painting. It's like I need an abundance of time. And a great thing about these sketches is I realized, oh, if I have 10 minutes, I can do something. Sometimes if it's 5, or if I'm in a waiting room for something, I'm like, I can start sketching, and I can, you can stop at any point, and then it's okay. It's just put in the practice, do something. All right, that was the first 5 minutes. Was someone in Zoom about to say something? I heard an utterance, I thought. I sensed a speech bubble. Lisa says I have to watch first and draw later. I can't listen and draw at the same time. So learning to speak and draw at the same time, that is also, I think it's a doable thing. But I like to tell people that I feel like some of the worst drawings I've done were during some of my early live streams. Probably not the worst drawings I've done. I don't like to value things, evaluate in such a way, but I remember being in the middle of a stream and thinking, oh, what am I doing? And I think it was because the conversation was really good and the drawing was suffering because of it. But the whole thing of what's going on within us while we're practicing. There's a stage of learning and being able to figure out how to make decisions and do things, and there's a certain kind of problem solving which is very difficult to do while talking. But as we get more comfortable with things, there's sometimes developing in some way the observational practice becomes familiar, like the way I'm looking at things and bringing it from over there to over here. Like after these years of practicing, I feel like I've become comfortable with it. But I definitely know when I really feel like I'm not sure how to go about doing this, I need to focus. That then I tend to quiet down. Such a cool reference. Gurudev has so many amazing references. Did I already say also from the Kenya community, which is a big international selfie sharing, reference sharing community. Krista says, I love when the homies go live. It's like a super low commitment phone call. Yeah. Yeah. I get that feeling totally. I also like when I can flip through your Instagram stories and I'm like, kind of feel like I'm informed, but it's like a day after it happened. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fun that Krista experienced that. Or to be able to just have you in the stream while you're making pancakes. It's great. Nicole Der Art says, wow, really nice drawing and interesting course. Which pen do you use? I like the lines. This pen is the 3.8 millimeter Pilot Parallel pen, and I refill it with this water-soluble ink, Pelikan Brilliant Black. And then I like to just touch a bit of water to it. That's what I'm using here. And it is an interesting course. It's been super fun to make and teach and share. And it's amazing seeing the work that people then do, take it and make it their own. It's really great to see. Martina, that's good advice for almost everything in life. It takes practice, and even when you do become comfortable, it's good to have a challenge sometimes. Yes. Chris, hey Dylan, this is good. Hey Chris, you are good. Thank you for tuning in and leaving a comment in the chat. There's also, I feel like in these big, long, multi-portrait sessions, and I'm familiar with my Tuesday Zooms, which are 2 hours, and we start with 30-second poses and work our way up to 6 minutes throughout the 2 hours. What's this gunk? They're often with that cumulative practice as it gets further on into the sketches, that it feels like sometimes, not always, but sometimes start to feel like I find my stride after doing a whole bunch of sketches. And the more you do it, the quicker it can be to access that kind of flow and focus. All right, that was 10 minutes. Thank you, Gurudev. All right. Now, Ellie. So these are different references than are in the course, but of the 9 muses who we've been sketching throughout the course, the tilt here is quite an interesting extra challenge, but we're here for the challenge. You can also choose a crop. You can choose not to draw the hair. You can just focus on the face. It could just be about the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. It's always a process of like selecting what is it that I actually want to focus on and what do I want to draw. You could also like try and straighten it up, tilt the paper, I don't know, whatever, however you choose to go about doing it. But there's a lot of interesting things going on here. Let's see how we go with it. Another cool thing about, the duration of like these art communities. Like when I look through, so Ellie, I know from the Museum by Sketchy app, and sometimes there are people there, artists that I know who I've known for 10 years now, and people have been sharing references there, and looking through the images that they've shared is kind of like, sometimes it's like time traveling and seeing many different faces. I also have some beardless reference photos up in there, and sometimes, yeah, it's an interesting process of going through looking for people to draw. And sometimes it's like, oh, I know, I really, that person, oh, I remember they have that reference and that would be really cool. I've been wanting to draw for years. Or maybe just kind of browsing and finding someone and something totally new. But sometimes going back, and recently I've been looking through some people's references, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember years ago I wanted to draw that photo, and to see like the photos that they've uploaded since then, the work that they've uploaded since then, and how they've been developing with their art. And yeah, it's really cool. 10 years on to see like how just that, to have that expanse of time. And even my Tuesday Zoom sessions, which everyone is invited to join every Tuesday for 2 hours of live portrait sketching. Like that's been 6 years now of really focused portrait sketching practice, and what we've experienced together in that time, how my work has progressed, also the work from other people who are there. It's such a cool thing to be able to witness that development and witness a life unfolding. Of a friend or of someone that we follow and observe silently, whatever way it is. How many people here are... So Museum by Sketchy is unfortunately an Apple only app, but I wonder how many people are on there. I also have been wondering recently, so there's the Museum by Sketchy is a great resource for references and that community element. The Kenya group chat is really cool. And I've been wondering, there must be more. And these are like, they are international communities, but sometimes there may be a certain kind of focus, because a lot of people from one area, like the way it kind of spreads around. And I just think there must be overlaps and so many online art communities and stuff, and this idea of like reference sharing. And I really appreciate the sense of like traveling and meeting people from everywhere online through art is something that I really appreciate in these communities. I've just been wondering recently, like I think it was sometime last year, I downloaded the Red Note app, and I've been learning some Chinese, Mandarin, and Duolingo, and understand very little, but it's very enjoyable to learn a language, what it does in the brain. And I've been thinking, oh, I wonder if there are similar online reference sharing communities um, in China or any other place. That was 5 minutes, right? Next. Krista says, sick picture. All right, next 5 minutes. So this is interesting, very different to the way I started with Phoebe, which was just these blobs of gray value. And this is all very much line. And like I said earlier, I feel very comfortable starting with line. And it's often an approach where I feel like once I've got things figured out with line, then I can add some value, but it can be really fun. And this brief practice is also really helpful for just being able to flip the whole thing and be like, okay, it's to do something with no line, to do it all with line, and just in this brief space of time to try out something really different and see what happens. I started Mandarin and Duolingo too, but like every other thing in the world, I never get very far because I fall off, give up, get bored. I at like a school social event, end of the school year, I was talking with someone and they said they've been stalking me on Duolingo. And there's like, why have you started so many things and not finished anything? I'm like, why not? Like, I think I've started 10 different Duolingo things just to try it out, just to get a sense of the first 10 words of a language. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for trying a lot of things out. And from those trying lots of things, maybe there'll be times and phases for different things. And then sometimes you return and it's like, oh yeah, I remember there's some of this is kind of in the vaults of my understanding. And to reaccess things, or like to maybe get drawn totally into something. And when I hear people speaking a language that I understand a little bit of, and I was like, oh, I'd like to know more. Maybe that's my thing, that I'm interested in lots of different things. But I remember at one time I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm interested in so many things and I don't get good at anything. And then it was like, but you've just been drawing nonstop all the time. It's like, oh yeah, that is the thing that I've stuck with of all of the different things. But in terms of languages and music, and I don't know, there are times to recommence with these explorations. I feel like I've been playing with poi again more this year than I have in many years. Jack of all trades. Consistently inconsistent. That's brilliant. Yes. That's so cool. All right, this is nice. It's breaking up, but it's just clumping into these three distinct chunks, and I would like it to be have more separate chunks. I need something to dry this on a bit. Because if it dries a bit, I'll be able to break up the bristles of the brush. Yeah, which I think will be really cool for hair. Still trying to focus on where are the shadow shapes. Hair, can be incredibly complex. How do we deal with hair? And trying to focus on the value shapes, just like anything else. All right, that was 10 minutes. Okay, that might be it. How's the balance of value? Now there's 1,000 brush marks. But if you squint at it and you can kind of determine that certain areas are fitting together as like a clump of value, then that is a good way to avoid the complete dissolve distraction of all of these different marks, is by like clumping those lumps of value together. That's what I'm hoping. That's how I try to understand hair. As you have these lumps, clumps, big shapes of darkness, like here and here, and then there's kind of highlighty shapes that also have stuff in there. We can always expect Krista to be inconsistent in every way, shape, and form. It's good to have something to rely upon, or expect. We can expect it, but there may be variations, exceptions to the expectations. All right, Adam, we've got 2 references left. Adam has been amazing. All of you were amazing. But Adam, in particular, in this case, has kept up a daily sketch practice for over 500 days. And he's developing an app to track practice for other people to use as well. It's called Lineweight. And I've had the pleasure of working together with Adam through phases of his practice and development. And it's really, really cool to see. Well done, Adam. Keeping up anything, any daily practice is really impressive. Very, very cool. Always expect the unexpected. That's difficult, but okay, just in a vague, general kind of way. How are my Zoom friends? Feel free to unmute and speak if you are able. I know drawing and speaking can be hard. take a break if you need it and chat. So this is interesting as well, just thinking similar to the hair. It is hair, but it's different. But the moustache is also like this big value shape, but it's made of like thousands of little dots. So just perceiving it as like one shape, and it's got like kind of a not super defined edge, but it is this one big value shape. And then that's a common thing with hair. It's like, oh, how to draw hair. There's so much going on, so many different things, but squinting helps, and just making a choice to simplify shapes. And even though that may not be exactly what the shape is, to just say, okay, for my purposes right now, this is the shape. And if we want to come back to it, fill it with hatching or do just brush over it, give it a wash to fill that form. Like it's great to have those. It's really nice to be able to add little details and marks in places where it's like appropriate and relevant. So like filling that shape with a lot of little marks for like the stubble could be really interesting. Or we could just like brush over it to fill it in. There's always, there are multiple choices available to us at any time. But just being able to see something and like, okay, I'm going to, this is made of like thousands of hairs, but how am I going to just simplify it into one clear shape so I can move on and not have to get stuck in this one potentially very detailed aspect of the reference. And just learning to make those choices, what to simplify, and then just commit to it. Even if it might work out, it might be a bit confusing, but hopefully in that process we're kind of clarifying and simplifying, making it so that we're able to move on. And once we've done some more and worked our way around, perhaps we return and be like, oh, now I'd like to actually tidy that up a bit or establish a bit more definition. But coming from that place of simplification is often a really great way to do it. Not to get too caught up in the things that we don't quite know how to deal with. Just start with putting something and then maybe coming back to it. And I'm not quite sure yet. How am I going to work with the values in this? There's certain things with a brush that could be super helpful. And this is what throughout the course, Expressive Ink Portraits, which everyone can join, the link is in the description. We've moved through these different pens, different tools, different approaches with the idea of being able to work towards grabbing whatever you think you need when you need it. And like, oh, this in this situation could be the right way to go about doing this. And it's really interesting, like if you just stick to one tool, to one method, that can be a really great way to get very familiar with that. Just use that one pen for, I don't know, X amount of drawings, 100, 5, I don't know. Just choose something. Just stick with something for a bit to figure it out. But then at some point it's like, oh, I know I could do this really quick, brief, like value shape. If I were to grab this tool, I could fill it in like this, and then I could move on. And like this here, just filling in that facial hair with just that brief movement. And it already gives us a sense of value, even though it's very, very loose. That was the first 5 minutes. Second 5 minutes. Does anyone watching this happen to be in Switzerland or Göttingen? On the 19th of Göttingen, I have a workshop. 19th of July, I have a workshop in Göttingen, and 25th and 26th in Zofingen, which is exciting. Looking forward to living and breathing portraits for a couple of days with a bunch of people. So this is interesting, kind of like choosing the glasses, just a few places to really give a lot of emphasis, where it becomes this kind of high contrast, big, bold, compositional decision. Like, what do we take from all of the abundance of information in the reference, and how do we simplify it? Just choosing something to focus on. And I feel like we can choose how we set that focus. And just squinting down, looking at the reference, seeing, okay, where are those bolder kind of marks, where to set a stronger line, where do we want to, like a bolder transition. I think adding a bunch of texture on top of this light wash of value could be nice here, rather than totally blocking it in like with the glasses, but just adding a bit more value with some hatching. And I feel like sometimes just being selective where we choose to do hatching, where like, and I'm just like thinking of the facial hair as hatching, like wherever we add more marks, when there aren't many yet, that becomes immediately like a point of interest and focus, and looking at the way we choose to, like, where do we want that interest and focus to be? Because sometimes there'll be like, there are leaves in the background on the trees, but if I started giving a lot of time and attention to that, and I haven't really figured out what's going on in the foreground and what I want the main focus to be, then putting a lot of information in the background will like distract from the foreground. So just kind of choosing, like, where do I want to put my mark making that will help lend to the focus of whatever it is that I'm working on. Okay, that was 10 minutes. Okay, one more left. How you all doing? You're doing great. All right, Anyakan. Such a cool reference photo. Throughout the course, we've drawn Anyakan a bunch of times, but I don't feel like, from all of the different drawing, I don't feel like I've really got the likeness yet. And maybe this sketch could be the opportunity. And it's such a bold silhouette, super nice. It's actually a very like small part. Like the face and the overall composition is just such a limited aspect of like where the focus is, and the rest is just like a block of shadow, which is really, really cool. So dedicating that attention to getting the face right, and then just being able to kind of fill in the rest with darkness, I think that could be really cool. Thank you, Linda. I'm glad you're enjoying it and that you could watch all day. Once I finish this, I will flip back through this session's sketches. I'd love to see yours. So wherever it is that you post and share, um, I would really love to see what you've been doing throughout this session. So Instagram is a good place for it. The Discord community server I shared a link to earlier, and it should also be linked to in the description. That's another great place to share. And you can, in the larger crop zoomed out of this image, he's standing in front of a mural that he did. And Anjekin was also a guest on the Drawn Together show last year and was in Germany, came from Washington to Germany for a street art festival. And I wished I could have been there. I was very close to going, but I had the kids on that weekend and realized, oh, it would have been a lot of travel for a brief and hopefully wonderful experience. But taking all the kids was like, oh, it was going to be hard. So I didn't end up going, but hopefully there'll be more opportunities in future. So I really love the vibrance and the message of Anjekin's work. Focus on creativity and sharing that empowering message of creativity in public spaces through large-scale public artworks. It's so, so cool. It's interesting. Just this, like, this is quite a limited space of the entire composition on the page, but what's going on here is so decisive, so important. And then hopefully we can get the silhouette right. And I really, like, I would have liked to make this bigger, but like I thought to fit the entire head and to get that whole silhouette, I need to be quite compressed on the page there. I know I often have a tendency to want to make just that that focus, that area of interest, like the whole thing. But if I'd made that bigger, then I would have been like squishing things to get it kind of in place right, and it wouldn't have been like the proportions would be off. So often it's interesting, particularly with like a profile image, like how much space do you allow for the portrait? Whereas like that's where the main focus and interest is, but in the overall composition may actually just be a very small part of what's happening on the page. Katie AAMV, I'm animating right now, and every time I look up, suddenly everything has value and volume. That's so cool. Amazing. What are you animating? That's cool. I used to kind of dream of doing animation, and it has just not been amongst the things that I have focused on. It has not yet been what I've focused on, but I'm fascinated by animation and kind of still have some kind of unaddressed yearning to animate things. But I wonder, because I've focused so much on portraiture, I'm like, how could I turn the way I draw and what I do, like, is there some way I could incorporate animation somehow? Rather than making it completely new and all different again, like what and how could I use it? But that's cool. What are you doing? What are you making? I actually studied architecture and did a couple of animations. Um, that was the first 5 minutes. Oh, this is really interesting. Just that line without the rest of it. That's cool. Yeah, so studying architecture did some animations, and I got carried away with it. It was very exciting. I did all sorts of things that were not necessary because it was just fun to make an animation. And the software we used back then, probably definitely not used anymore. 3D Studio Max. I've seen people doing amazing stuff with Blender. All right, how far back does this head go? Is there any possible way that would be like an easy way to dip my toes in animation? Anyone who has any ideas, feel free to let me know, because I haven't quite figured out what it would be yet, or how I would do it, what app I should use. But I love animation. This is cool, just like this. Something interesting just about that empty space in between, which is actually the deep, dark value. I could just brush it in, just fill it with ink. But I also like it just like that. I'll take an in-between photo, before and after. Procreate is easy to navigate, easy animations to start. Is it? That's cool. I have seen stuff in Procreate where people have made like each layer becomes part of the animation. That's interesting. So yeah, I mentioned earlier I am taking donation-based commissions for Procreate Portraits because I have re-equipped with a refurbished iPad after mine just very disappointingly just stopped responding. And it's a whole involved thing because I would have to, it's 8 years old, I would have to like take the smashed screen off, risk not being able to replace the screen, which would need a new screen. And yeah, there was quite a lot of consideration, but I do now have the replacement. So Martina, you can be, and anyone else who has registered their interest for a donation-based commission, yeah, they will be in the works soon. And What else can I do with the iPad? Make animations, maybe. And yeah, for those Procreate pieces, it could be of you, of one of your loved ones, of someone you from pop culture, or from, I don't know, philosophy, history. Uh, the the possibilities are vast. And the way it's worked thus far is people send me some money and send me a bunch of references so I can choose something which I think I'll be able to work really well from. And then I'll be making, in addition to all my physical work, I'll be doing some Procreate portraits in the near future, which I'm very excited about. Because it's been a while and I really enjoy the process. I enjoy it as an opportunity to do something which I could not do on paper. So the way I work with layers and colors and Procreate, that was 10 minutes. Is something really, really fun to do. All right. Thanks, everyone. Oh, Katamv has an answer. Animating Mabel throwing a ball in Dipper's head. It's an exercise for school. Cool. And I don't know how you could integrate animation in your portraits, but since you have strong knowledge on your portraits, you can maybe start to learn with head turns or change an expression. That's a cool idea. Just like head turns, change expression. Interesting. Food for thought. Thank you for your contribution to the conversation. Awesome. That's it, dear friends, for today's session. I will just, let's look back over the, oh wow, that was like 2 hours. I thought this would be 2 hours for 9 10-minute portraits, and it's 1:10. That's amazing. Okay, so I'll just have a look back at today's sketches. So here we have Anyikan and Adam. I would love to see yours. And apart from my friends in Zoom, I'll have a look in a minute. But on YouTube, you can't just pick up your images and show if you've been working, or your animations, or your pancakes that you've been making. But yeah, please do come share. Wow, these are all like, there's quite some variation in these. I feel like they exist in a similar space, but this one is really different. Lina, Sabra from the beginning. Was that it? Could be. Is that 9 portraits? No. Thai. All right. And yeah, I'll just show you some from the course. Anyone who's been following along and has not yet joined the course and would really like to, please do. These, I don't know how many portraits we actually do throughout the 7 modules, but I'll just show you some pieces of our dear muses using different approaches. And yeah, these have all been so much fun to make, and I've really enjoyed the process and the time shared with you all, and seeing throughout the course, seeing the work people have made in the course community. It's been really cool. And is this everyone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. All right, that's everyone. I'd be super curious if you have any favorites in your own drawing practice, or favorites of mine. Which one of these do you like the most? This is actually really cool. Coming back to this first sketch of Sara, and I'm like, wow, just that big brush stroke around the portrait. That's really interesting. Cool to look back. Chrissa has only made 1 pancake so far. Had to clean up the kitchen first. A clean kitchen is a worthy thing to have and to work towards. Thank you, Nico Der Art, for being here. Thank you, everyone. Please, yeah, leave your favorite emoji in the chat. A drawing hand, perhaps, or say something, anything. If you have not yet said hello in the live chat, please do. Or say goodbye, because it is time to leave now. It's Sunday, isn't it? So tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. German time, we'll be back for a 10-minute portrait. And the theme, I hope that you can get as excited about it as I can. Oh, look at this, Adam. Adam and Adam, two very different drawings of Adam. Yeah, the theme this month, because it's going to be the focus of this month's Patreon tutorial, the theme is animals. And I also have another Patreon tutorial which is almost finished, which is actually my June tutorial. I know it's July, but it's about drawing by eye, how to see things, how to piece things together when we're drawing by eye. This is almost edited. It's made, so that'll be up hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, and 10 minutes at 10, animal portraits. Thank you for being here, everyone. Katie AAMV, good luck with your animation. People in Zoom, just wait a moment. I'll end the live stream and would love to say goodbye to you and thank you all deeply. And yeah, thank you. Thank you to everyone. Welcome to anyone who is here for the first time, and I look forward to further future opportunities to sketch together. So share your work, tag me on Instagram, Dylan @Dylan_Sara, share to the Discord server, and I look forward to the next opportunity to be here together, creating together. And thank you to all of the incredible muses and friends that we've had the honor and delight of sketching today. Have a good one. Thumbs up, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, I will see you soon. My pleasure. Thank you, Zoom friends, for being here too. It's been wonderful having you here.